Community leaders in Khayelitsha in the Western Cape are decrying a lack of coordinated effort to shield residents there from gun violence. 6 people were gunned down in Khayelitsha yesterday, less than a week after gunmen massacred 5 people in the same area. The chair of the Khayelitsha Development Forum, Ndidi Tieto, is speaking about this today.
Criminals are not naive. The criminals would also pick up when there are vibes, there's disconnect on people who must make this place safe. That is the lack of coordinated response from the local government, provincial and the national, as well as the community's own role to it. Because we ourselves as community leaders, we have a responsibility as well to make Khayelitsha safe. But as community leaders, we can only do so much. Our task, Nasipi, is to trade in hope. I stand now here to talk to you just to give these people here, this million-plus people, hope that still there will be a Khayelitsha tomorrow that they must raise their kids in.
Well, our reporter Nasipi Summit in Khayelitsha, she joins us now. Nasipi, good afternoon to you. A terrible few days in Khayelitsha. What are people there saying about it?
Well, Stephen, just to contextualize the numbers, if I'm counting correctly, in the last 2 weeks, about 24 people have been gunned down in the streets of Cape Town. That is Manenberg, Khayelitsha, Gugulethu, including Hanover Park and in Strand. So quite a large number of people that have lost their lives due to gun violence. And, you know, the people in Khayelitsha, where the recent mass shooting occurred, saying that not only have they been left paralyzed by fear, but also, you know, saying that they feel like now they're going to become hostage in their own communities, taking into account how brazen these 3 gunmen were when they opened fire to that group of people that were sitting outside their homes, having fun, apparently over drinks. Around 4 p.m., according to police, opened fire on that group of people. And, you know, something that is extremely shocking, taking into account that less than 3 days before that incident that occurred yesterday, the Minister of Police, Bheki Cele, and his top brass in the province was visiting a community that was less than 6 kilometers away from the recent incident, where basically they were trying to engage the community following that mass shooting that occurred that occurred last week Monday. So the dust has not even settled following that crime in Bizo, and we are seeing more deaths on the streets of Cape Town. Nditini Kidro from Khayelitsha Development Forum putting it, you know, quite bluntly for us that, you know, the criminals aren't stupid. They can see when there is a rift between the various structures of government, particularly in the policing and security space that should be guarding the citizens and ensuring that they are safe. But even going as far as saying that the unequal distribution of service delivery or services is one of the contributing factors that sees mass shootings in places like Khayelitsha, gang violence in places like Manenberg and the likes.
Why is so much of this happening? I realize in the CP everyone's asking that question. Why is there so much gun violence now? I mean, I realize it's a long weekend, but we haven't had this over long weekends before. Do we know what's behind it?
Well, Stephen, you know, someone that I've asked a question, rather when we have these mass shootings and gang rivalries, they usually say that it is not something that just happened overnight. It is indeed a bit systematic, and it would require government to obviously address it in such a manner that is developing these communities that are on the outskirts of Cape Town. I mean, just in 2019 alone, there were headlines that Cape Town is one of the most dangerous towns in the world or in the country. And if you look at it, the numbers were coming from the communities or underdeveloped communities that are on the outskirts of Cape Town, places like Strand, that is more than 40 kilometers away from Cape Town, places like Khayelitsha, that is no stranger to mass shootings, that is about 30 kilometers away from Cape Town, places like Manenberg, where gang rivalries is a common occurrence, and the community there, you know, saying that they are the ones that are not necessarily taking up arms, but defending themselves because police don't really come out and patrol in their communities But we can't also run away from the fact that, on numerous occasions, the Minister of Police has said that they will never have enough resources to police all the communities in Cape Town. And the Western Cape is one of the provinces that has been getting quite a lot of deployment in terms of policing resources, but it's still not really, materializing in terms of people feeling safe in their communities. Just in 2018 alone, the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, deployed that special team of police officers, the anti-gang unit that is deployed strategically in communities like Manenberg, Hanover Park and the likes to try and quell the gang violence there. However, again, it does not seem like it is materializing. But we do know from a number of people that we've spoken to, they are saying that not only is, the fighting of crime a policing issue, nor is it just a community coming together and fighting crime, but it will require other departments to come in at play to develop these communities, to try and see whether or not, if all of the various government departments and spheres come together in developing the communities, it might just reduce that crime. As I spoke earlier on, a number of experts have said that it is systematic, the issue of crime in the Western Cape, nor is it foreign. It has been going on for a number of years. Gang wars, the turfs, drugs, illegal guns and ammunition, kidnappings and extortions. Those are things that we usually talk about when we're talking about crime in the Western Cape. So a lot clearly will have to go in, not only from the Minister of Police, but clearly from other departments that will have to come in at play and engage with the communities at a very grassroots level to find out what the problem really is.
I mean, we're talking now about generations, Nasipi, generations of children who've grown up sleeping on the floor in the kitchen or sleeping in the bath because it's the only safe place in the house at night because there's so many gunshots being fired.
Well, you put it, perfectly, Stephen. Those are some of the sentiments or some of the things that we are hearing from people living in places like, Manenberg. Just last week alone, Stephen, when the Minister of Police was in Khayelitsha, engaging the community there in that street crime fighting in Imbizo with his top brass, he left for his second leg in the afternoon to Manenberg, and just 2 hours before he arrived there was a shooting, and, he was basically greeted by those news that somebody has again lost their lives in the streets of Manenberg. So at this very moment, a number of experts saying that government is well aware what the problem is in terms of quelling this crime, and, having more police on the street will not obviously see the end of the social ills that these communities are faced with, and, the end result being crime. So basically what we do understand from the many people that we've spoken to, including, forums like the Khayelitsha Development Forum, is that development is key in this aspect when it comes to crime, and also, the working and partnership together with various communities is also key, including, the Khayelitsha recommendations that were put many, many years ago for implementation that see the street lighting, or rather local government putting up street lights, the CCTV cameras, the strengthening of police, or the relationship between police and the community could see a reduction in crime. But up until then, when all those recommendations are implemented, we can then talk about how effective that Khayelitsha Commission has been, including the resources on the ground. At this very moment, people of Makaza for many, many years, over a decade, have been calling on for a formal police station in their community, but that has not happened. But recently we do know that the police minister handed over that mobile police station, saying that Makaza has been prioritized to have a formal police structure. But up until then, Stephen, I think we'll continue having these talks. We'll continue seeing the Minister of Police coming to places like Khayelitsha, Manenberg, doing street imbizos, and, people will continue losing their lives. Basically what we do know is that in the recent mass shootings in Khayelitsha, the police had activated last week Monday a 72-hour plan, but we do know that they were had a few names that they had on their radar to look for in terms of the suspects. However, we do, or rather from our understanding, there have been no arrests that have been made in that regard. And now comes another mass shooting, 6 people dead who are just sitting having fun over drinks during the weekend, and still the police again are saying that they're activating that 72-hour operation plan to track the 3 gunmen that are out on the loose as we speak, or on the run following that devastating shooting.
For that live update. Thank you very much indeed. Well, we'll have more on this in about an hour's time. We'll be discussing how authorities in the city of Cape Town are working to control the spate of mass shootings in that area, particularly around Khayelitsha.